Hey, Dawn here with a helpful hint. One of my favorite ways to listen to podcasts is by speeding them up. It gives me the opportunity to listen to more of them and to re-listen to my favorite ones. So if you find that this podcast goes a little bit slow for your taste, by all means, turn up the speed. I listen in Overcast personally because I like the control it gives me over the speed of the podcast. All right, on to the goodies. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to the Mental Wellness Wakeup Show, a weekly podcast where growth-minded, creative people come to learn best practices from both spirituality and psychology that create lasting well-being. I am your host, mental wellness expert, improvised acting teacher, therapist, and coach, Dawn McMillan. Let's get to it. All right, let's jump right in. So this week, we are revisiting the drama triangle, which we explored in the episode from October 5th, 2022, called Drama, Drama, Drama. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, go on back and listen to that now because we're going to just keep going. Okay, so go ahead. We'll wait. Are you back? Okay, good. So last time we were talking about the drama triangle: victim, persecutor, rescuer. And we dug a little bit into why that is dysfunctional, how that doesn't actually work for us, how that is a recipe for suffering. So this time, let's talk about what else is possible. If we don't want to be in that drama triangle playing those roles, which are so just not full of joy, what is it that we can do instead? So that's what today's episode is going to be about. What do we do instead? Before we get into the nitty-gritty of that, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for lending me your ears. Thank you for spending time. Time is not a renewable resource, so if you're sharing yours with me, that is a gift non pareil, beyond compare. So thank you. And thank you for liking, for reviewing and subscribing. It makes all the difference in the world, helps the message get out. And the more people that we have on this planet collaborating on lasting well-being, the better it is for us all. So thank you, thank you, thank you for doing that. We're on all the platforms, so you can like, subscribe, and review wherever you want. Well, maybe not all the platforms, but at least 5, including YouTube. So that's a lot. Okay, so we are getting rid of our victim, persecutor, rescuer frame of mind. So the big difference between where we don't want to go and where we do want to go is how we use our attention. So let's recall that our world is created by what we focus on. What we pay attention to creates our inner state, and our behavior is a reaction to our inner state. To paraphrase Viktor Frankl, who is a Holocaust survivor who wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. If you haven't read it yet, it is an absolute must read. And Viktor Frankl said something along the lines of, between stimulus and response is a space, and in that space lies choice. You have choice. You have power. It seems as we're going through the world that it's just something happens and I respond because I have to. Someone disrespects me, I get angry. But in between the stimulus, Bob says X, and my response, my reaction of anger, there is what I attended to. There is a space, my choice to interpret Bob's statement as disrespectful. And now I am responding and reacting to my interpretation of disrespect, not to what Bob said. Attention, what you focus on, leads to your inner state, and your behavior is a reaction to your inner state. So if that hasn't quite sunk in yet, please allow it to. I was working with someone recently who chose to use the phrase, it's my fault. We're not going there. We don't do shame and blame here. And you have an opportunity to change what you focus on, which will then change your inner state. A lot of acceptance and commitment therapy, a lot of ACT, is about bringing your awareness and your attention to that space between what happens and your reaction to it. You have a choice of how you react and respond to the extent that you insert your will, your consciousness, your conscientiousness into that space. It's why things like, before you say anything, count to 10. It's why things like that work. It's why things like, I'm having the thought that blah, 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 works. It increases that space between stimulus, what happens outside of us or inside of us, and our response. So Bob says, you're stupid. So I insert a little space, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I choose not to determine or interpret Bob's statement as disrespect. So I'm not now reacting to he disrespected me. I'm reacting to something else. So we want to bring our attention elsewhere, and we want to increase the space between stimulus and reaction. I would even call it a response. So in the drama triangle, we are living in a victim orientation. Your attention, regardless of what role you're playing, whether you're the victim, the persecutor, or the rescuer, your attention is on what you don't want. What is a problem? What's wrong? What don't you like? Who did something they shouldn't have done? Who didn't do something they should have done? Our attention is on a problem, what we don't like, what we don't want, what we wish was different. That is the main orientation of the victim triangle, the victim orientation that creates the drama triangle. What don't I want? What don't I like? And then that leads to an inner state of getting away from the problem, getting rid of the unpleasant feelings. What's wrong? Your attention is on what's wrong, what don't I like? And then your attention leads to an inner state of get that away from me, make it stop. Your intention then becomes getting rid of the person, the situation, or the feeling. And your behavior at that point tends to be very temporary and reactionary. So you're focused on what's wrong. I don't like the way that my boss talks to me. So now my inner state is anger, frustration, humiliation. I don't like those feelings, so I want to get away from them. So I drink half a bottle of wine. And I am temporarily escaping from, numbing out from the problem. I had my attention on something I didn't like. I had a feeling I liked even less. And now I'm temporarily away from that feeling. I have numbed myself out. Okay. And then what? Wine wears off. I'm dehydrated. I have a little headache. Haven't done anything about the problem of how my boss actually behaves. And now I'm still in my unpleasant orientation. So, what do we do instead? We swap out that drama triangle for the empowerment dynamic. And a reminder that I'm using the work of David Emerald for this framework. He's not the originator of it or the only person who addresses it. I just like the simplicity of how he works. So we shift from the victim orientation to the creator orientation. So what does that look like? Well, first, what are you focusing on? Where is your attention? So your attention is on what you do want, or my preferred language, desire. What is your desired outcome? What would you prefer? So instead of what you don't like, what you don't want, what's going wrong, your attention now is on what would I like? What would I desire? What would I prefer? What is the outcome I would enjoy? So then your inner state becomes a response to that attention. Your intention becomes bringing your desired outcome into being. So rather than how can I escape from this unpleasant situation, these internal feelings that I don't like, your behavior now becomes a response to the inner question of what can I be, do, say, or think to come closer to my desired outcome? What can I be, do, say, or think to come closer to my desired outcome? What baby step can I take to create the world I would prefer? What can I say right now to bring my beautiful vision into fruition? So instead of escaping from the things you don't want, don't like, wish didn't exist, you start to focus on what you wish did exist and how you can be a part of creating that. We've talked before about approach goals versus away goals. The victim orientation is about away goals. I want to get away from this experience, this thing that I don't like. Or if you're the rescuer, I want to save someone from that poor person, from this experience that I don't like. So instead, we're looking at approach goals. What would I like instead? Because away goals will get you started. They will not keep you going. If all you want to do is stop an unpleasant feeling, then you will do something to get away from it. But as soon as the pressure's off, you stop working, you stop trying. And usually you haven't actually solved the real problem. So in our example, if the problem is I don't like the way that my boss talks to me and my reaction, my behavior is I drink a bottle of wine, have I taken any real steps to changing the situation that I don't like? No. And because I've taken, air quotes, the pressure off, right? Okay, I don't feel bad right now. I may end up staying in that same situation with that same boss for decades. In the creator, in the creator dynamic, in the empowerment dynamic, we're using approach goals. Okay. Uh, Problem. Not crazy about the way that my boss talks to me. Okay, what would I like instead? I would like a harmonious, respectful, open relationship with my coworkers, including those who have power over me, that is characterized by curiosity, that is characterized by insight and wisdom and exploration. Okay, so what does that mean for me? And then you start to think, okay, well, what can I do? What can I be? What can I say? What can I think that helps create that dynamic of respect, of openness, of politeness, even? And then you start to take action in that direction. And you may find that by so doing, you change the situation that you are currently in, or you may find that you have to change your environment and go somewhere else. Make sense? So instead of those temporary away goals that lead to reactionary temporary solutions, in the empowerment dynamic, you are using your power as a creator to move ever closer to what you would prefer. So what are the roles instead? So instead of the victim, we have the creator. That's, well, hopefully you in this situation. So you have the creator. And so at the center, you have a creator, and that person is looking at a vision. I have a dream. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't just say, this is injustice, we hate that. He gave us another vision. I have a dream, where the content of your character is more important than the color of your skin. Okay, I'm going to get political right now. One of the mistakes I think we're making collectively, certainly where I am in the United States of America in 2022, is that we're all just running around screaming, waving our arms about what we don't like. What is lacking in a lot of ways is a vision for what we would prefer. Capture my attention with a vision. Yeah, this sucks. What are we going to do instead? Well, how about this? And there are some people who are doing that. I'll refrain from naming them because you have your own opinions about who's doing that. So we have the creator who's thinking, what would I like to have existing in this world? And what can I do to help bring that into being? And then the persecutor becomes transformed into a challenger, or as we say in some spiritual traditions, your teacher. So those people who are showing up in your life, who are not showing up as their best selves, shall we say, become your challenger. They become your opportunity to practice your principles. They become your opportunity to dip into your inner sage and continue to respond instead of react. So instead of being victimized, you are energized. Your boss keeps calling you outside of your name. That is now your challenger. That is your teacher. How do you continue to show up in a way that honors and respects yourself and your own dignity and helps you set healthy boundaries with those people who are not treating you appropriately? There is no place in any system of enlightenment, in any psychological recovery for being a doormat. Being enlightened doesn't mean being trampled on. It means setting healthy boundaries. It means standing your ground in a way that honors everyone. So your persecutors become your challengers. They become your teachers. They become your opportunity to up your game. And then your rescuer, instead of like, oh, poor baby, let me save you, becomes your coach. They join with you in the vision that you want to, desire to create. They ask you the questions. They are the ones who share with you their tools, tips, and resources for how to rise above your circumstances, how to take those baby steps in service of your dream, in service of your vision. They help you enroll your group, your supporters, your chosen family in creating this beautiful vision for a world that looks and feels like the world you want to live in. So instead of your rescuer who's like helping you run away from the things that you don't like or fixes it for you, that person now becomes your coach who stands by you, your guide on the side, your cheerleader, and sometimes, the person that gives you a boost, right? You say, hey, I'd like to see what's over that fence. Your rescuer would be like, oh, let me look over the fence for you and tell you what's on the other side and how to deal with it. Your coach is like, yeah, how can we get a step stool for you? Or even like, oh, yeah, let me give you a boost up so you can see and make some decisions. So we move from that victim triangle to this creator triangle. What would I like to create? What is my vision? What would I like to be, do, and feel instead of what I'm noticing in the world? And these people who are not on their best behavior, those are my teachers. And then we enlist our coaches. We enlist our coaches who share with us that vision and hold that vision when we forget about it, when we no longer are able to see. They remind us, remember who you are. Remember what you are creating. Full disclosure, part of my intention of creating this podcast is to be your coach, is to give you tips, tools, and resources that help you be the creator of your life. And every time I record an episode, I am reminded of the things that I would prefer to be, do, say, or think as well. So with that, let me invite you to be the creator and the coach in other people's lives. Most people don't just have one life that they all share. They all have their own individual lives. And also recognize that there are times when you have been the challenger, when you have been the teacher in someone else's life. Maybe they perceive you as a persecutor. That's not on you. But choose to be the creator and the coach in your life and in other people's lives. And hold that tension, the paradox of both and. Look with clear sight at what is. There is no sense in denying what is. If your leg is broken, pretending like it's not helps no one. So acknowledge what is. Look, there's a broken leg. Got it. What would I prefer instead? I would prefer a healthy bone and to be back to the prior functioning, if not better. What can I be, do, say, or think today to actualize that right away? I'm going to take my little bottom to a urgent care and let a professional set the bone, right? And then now my doctor, I'm the creator. My broken bone is my challenger, and now the doctor gets to be my coach. She gets to help me actualize my vision of having my leg restored to its prior level of functioning, if not greater. Paradox of both and. Notice what is, continue to create what will be, enlist those coaches in your life who, yes, will hold that vision with you and give you tools and resources to bring that vision into being, and recognize that every problem, person, place, or situation can be your teacher if you let it. And with that, you are an amazing creator. You are awesome. You are whole. You are perfect. You are complete. You are dynamic. And by the way, you look mighty fine today, if you don't mind me saying so. And you are worthy and deserving of a life so amazing that it transcends even your own imagination. Until next time.